Have you ever found yourself sitting in front of a pile of homework, but instead you've spent the last 2 hours scrolling through TikTok or binge watching YouTube videos? Maybe you've told yourself, I'll start in 5 minutes, but somehow it never happens. If you've ever wondered why it's so hard to break free from these habits, you're not alone. We all have habits that hold us back, whether it's procrastination, mindless phone scrolling, or skipping tasks until the last minute. We want to do better, but somehow we keep falling back into the same patterns. What if I told you that you could reprogram your brain to break these bad habits and build ones that actually make you feel more in control? In this video, I'll break down why habits control so much of our daily lives, how they are formed, and more importantly, how you can use that knowledge to replace bad habits with better ones. We'll walk through the exact steps to take, based on the science of habit building, as explained in Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit. What exactly is a habit? A habit is an automatic response to a specific cue. You might not even realize it, but every time you unlock your phone and check Instagram or hit snooze on your alarm, you're following a pattern, something called the habit loop. According to Duhigg, every habit follows the same loop: cue, routine, and reward. For example, you hear your phone buzz. That's the cue. You pick it up and start scrolling. That's the routine. And your brain releases a hit of dopamine because it feels good. That's the reward. Over time, this loop becomes automatic, and before you know it, you're spending hours on your phone without even thinking. So, how do we break this cycle? Here's where things get interesting. The good news is, habits aren't permanent. They're learned, which means they can also be unlearned. But it's not just about stopping a bad habit. You actually have to replace it. Step 1. Identify your cues. The first step to breaking a bad habit is identifying the cue, the trigger that sets the habit in motion. Think about when you usually get distracted. Is it when you're bored, stressed, or tired? Is it when your phone buzzes, or when you open your laptop? Once you identify the cue, you've taken the first step toward changing the habit. For example, you sit down to do your work, but the second your phone buzzes, you're lost in notifications. Before you know it, 30 minutes have passed, and your homework isn't touched. By recognizing that checking your phone is your cue to procrastinate, you can take action, maybe by silencing notifications, setting your phone in another room, or using a study timer to stay on track. Identifying and understanding the cues that lead to distractions can be a powerful first step toward building better habits. Step 2. Change the routine. Next, we need to focus on the routine. This is where you have the power to reprogram your brain. Instead of just going along with the old routine, replace it with a new, more productive one. Maybe, like taking a short break to stretch or setting a reward for focused work. Small changes to manage cues can make a big difference in breaking distractions and building better habits over time. Step 3. Reward yourself. But here's the key. Your brain still craves a reward, and without it, the habit won't stick. So, give yourself a reward for following the new routine. It could be something small, like taking a 5-minute break to eat a snack. The goal is to associate your new routine with something enjoyable, so your brain wants to keep doing it. So, how does this actually reprogram your brain? Over time, as you keep practicing the new routine and rewarding yourself, your brain starts to rewire itself. The old habit loop weakens, and the new loop takes its place. This process is called neuroplasticity, and it's proof that you have the ability to change how your brain operates. Now, let's take a look at some common habits you might want to break, and how you can apply these steps to tackle them. Procrastination is one of the biggest habits teens struggle with. You know you have a project due, but somehow you always wait until the night before to start. The cue might be boredom or the pressure of a big task, and the routine is putting it off by doing something more fun. Instead, try setting a timer for just 10 minutes of work. That's a small enough amount of time that your brain won't resist, and it tricks you into getting started. After that, give yourself a reward for sticking to it. Gradually, you'll build a new habit of starting early. Another common one is mindless scrolling. You sit down to relax and suddenly realize you've spent 2 hours on social media without doing anything productive. The cue is usually boredom, and the routine is scrolling. Replace this with something else that gives you a similar reward, like picking up a hobby or reading. Set limits on your phone usage, and when you follow through, reward yourself with a break or something fun. Over time, the craving for mindless scrolling will start to fade. Breaking bad habits and building better ones doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. But consistency is key. One thing that really helps is tracking your progress. Seeing those small wins pile up is motivating and reminds you that change is happening, even if it's slow. Imagine you're trying to cut down on scrolling through social media before bed. Every night, you track how many minutes you avoided it, even if it's just 5 at first. Over time, those minutes add up, and seeing the gradual progress in your notes or app makes it easier to stay committed. Small improvements, tracked daily, show that you're making progress, and soon you'll start to notice how much easier it becomes to avoid the habit altogether. Finally, remember that building good habits and breaking bad ones is a lifelong journey. It's not about being perfect, it's about making steady progress. Some days you'll slip up, and that's okay. What matters is that you get back on track. The more you practice, the easier it will get. At the end of the day, your habits shape your future. But the best part is you have the power to change them. By understanding the habit loop, replacing bad routines, and staying consistent, you can reprogram your brain and finally get rid of those habits that are holding you back. If you liked this video, feel free to click here and watch another one of our videos. Thanks for watching!